The Alberta government will formalize rules on Friday that will make it easier to have a referendum on topics like separation. One group plans to apply to Elections Alberta July 4th to start a petition under those new rules.
Things are about to get very interesting in Alberta. Starting July 4th, yes, American Independence Day, the new laws that allow Albertans to trigger an independence referendum officially kick in. Isn't that poetic? Alberta's future, possibly as a sovereign nation or maybe an American state, begins on the very day that America broke free from its own tyrannical government. And right on cue, one of those washed up relics from Alison Redford's corrupt government is trying to crawl back into the spotlight. This guy wants his own referendum. But instead of asking if Alberta should leave Canada, he wants to ask the opposite. Should Alberta stay within Canada? Really? That's like holding a vote to confirm that the sky's still blue. Supporters of independence said that Elections Alberta might toss it out altogether, since it doesn't actually propose a change. But nope, it got approved. But here's the kicker. His petition still needs almost 300,000 signatures in 90 days, while the Alberta Prosperity Project only needs 177,000 in 120 days under the new rules. And don't kid yourself, Ottawa's absolutely going to back this fake petition. The media will fluff it up, government-funded influencers will promote it, and federal cash will flow behind the scenes. It's not grassroots, it's AstroTurf, and it's desperate, honestly.
Tucked in the heart of the Alberta Badlands, tourists countrywide often travel to this popular place in Wayne, a former mining community in Drumheller.
We would be 98% tourism.
Last Chance Saloon co-owner Paula Sutherland, a proud Canadian and staunch supporter of Alberta oil.
We are very rich in it, and we're not utilizing it to the full potential. The government is saying no, and we have to do as we're told.
It's one of the sticking points for Albertans wanting to leave Canada.
Oh, I absolutely would be for it.
Premier Danielle Smith has stated she is against the province separating. However, this week her government is officially lowering the bar for citizens to initiate a referendum, including on separation. But a legal expert says even if the required number of signatures are collected within the mandatory time frame, separating isn't an easy feat, and there are complex issues to consider.
Indigenous rights, Indigenous land, national parks, currency, the military, whether Alberta itself is divisible.
While separatist sentiments have gained momentum in the past few months, a Spring Leger poll shows just under a third of Albertans want to separate. Those CTV News spoke to in the Conservative stronghold territory of Drumheller are against it.
I think it's just more, not so much about separating, it's about getting a bigger voice for us out here. We feel forgotten.
A perspective shared by others in this family business.
It's more of an identity than practicality.
And even for Sutherland, who supports the idea.
Do I believe it's going to come to fruition? No, I do not. Not in my lifetime.
Because if Alberta should ever separate, experts say it's going to take years and it's going to be expensive.
Don't you love it when government-paid media starts a sentence with the phrase, experts say? Those words are often followed by some propaganda statement we're all supposed to believe and never question, because they know better than all of us. Every now and then, miraculously, the media stumbles across someone who actually supports Alberta independence and gives them 5 seconds of airtime. But let's be honest, most of the time, all we see are people against it. You'd think with a third to nearly half of Albertans supporting independence, the media could at least pretend to be balanced. And when they bring in the so-called experts, it's always anti-independence academics and liberal loyalists. You never hear from folks like Dr. Michael Wagner or Bruce Pardy, respected thinkers who could actually present the other side. But no, instead we get yet another anti-separation echo chamber dressed up as expert analysis. These people never give a positive reason why Alberta should stay within Canada either, because they don't have one. All they can do is offer fear-mongering and falsehoods. They know there's nothing Canada could offer Alberta that Alberta couldn't provide for itself.
Let's begin with Elections Alberta approving an application for a citizen-led referendum initiative. And the question, Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? The initiative, the work of former Progressive Conservative Deputy Premier and Cabinet Minister Thomas Lukaszuk, and aims to halt the push by separatists, with approval being granted ahead of new referendum rules kicking in this Friday. This petition must meet old requirements, meaning Lukaszuk will need to collect nearly 300,000 signatures instead of the new figure of 177,000. Graham, we'll start with you. 294,000 signatures. We're now into the summer slowdown window. How steep a hill do you think this Thomas Lukaszuk-led Forever Canada initiative faces?
Well, it's a big uphill fight, perhaps. We'll see. This is an issue, though, people care about. It's an issue that's easy to understand. It's not like a question about equalization that Kenney put to voters a few years ago, Jason Kenney, the former premier. But this is about, of course, separation. And now Albertans, clearly, the polls have shown they're against separation. We saw that by-election result in Old Didsbury Three Hills just a few days ago, that the separatist-leaning party, the Republican Party of Alberta, got about 18% of the vote, finished behind the NDP. So people do not want the province to separate. And the thing is, now can Lukaszuk get the ground game going to get people's names? It's not just a name, it has to be the name, has to be the address, has to be verifiable by Elections Alberta. It's a steep hill to climb. And of course, nipping on his heels is going to be the other guys who who are pro-separatist, who want their own referendum question. It's a bit of a race now to see who can do it first. And the separatists, if I can call them that, the pro-separatists, they only have to get, only 177,000 vote names, whereas Lukaszuk has 300,000. So he needs a really strong ground game. He says he has that, but he is asking for volunteers to help him out.
Oh boy, here we go again with another one of those stacked expert panels on TV. Two pundits, both anti-independence, both practically rolling their eyes every time the word Alberta comes up. They don't even bother using neutral terms. They go straight for separatists, as if we're some fringe group hiding in the woods. Notice how they never say sovereigntists or independence, because they know words matter. Separation sounds dark and negative, while independence sounds dignified and honorable. This guy even brought up the recent by-election loss by the Alberta Republican Party and claims that this somehow proves Alberta independence has no support. Never mind the fact that over 60% of pro-independence voters back Premier Smith and her conservative government. But sure, let's cherry-pick the one result and pretend that it speaks for the entire movement. That's not analysis, that's propaganda. These people are not there to inform you. They're there to shape public opinion. They're all paid by the Liberal government to pretend to be neutral while carrying water for Ottawa. And if Alberta independence truly had no support, why are they working so hard to shut it down? Why the sabotage petition? Why the panic? Because they know what we all know. Momentum is building, and they hate it.
John, what do you make of the formulation of the question? Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? And how do you see that resonating with Albertans?
Yeah, I think the question is fine. It's pretty obvious. It's a clear question. That's always important when it comes to this sort of thing. And an endorsement of the status quo is generally easier to get people to buy into because it's the default, rather than agreeing to some kind of change, especially as momentous of a change as secession. The issue is that, yeah, he has this steeper, taller mountain to climb, as opposed to the separatists, right? And I can't help but think that there's a theme of like unintended consequences here where, well, what if he doesn't get his signatures first? Does that make the Federalist movement, if we want to call it that, appear weaker? Does that give credence to the separatist cause? Like, I think there are sort of other elements here at play than just, can he get signatures?
And I agree with John when he's talking about, what happens if this stumbles? What happens if Lukaszuk can't get the number of people, that the voices or the names signing up? That does, to me, then hand some of the momentum to the other guys. So this is a race now in summer.
So John, how do you see campaigns for and against this Lukaszuk-led petition playing out? Do they generate hot headlines? Are they out there right front and center, or do they play out in the background because it's summer?
Yeah, I think they do play out in the background because it's summer, and doubly so for the status quo campaign. Let's keep things the same isn't exactly the sexiest campaign slogan. And a lot of and because it is the default option to stay in Canada, a lot of the folks who are going to vote that way, regardless of which referendum question gets put to the population, are probably off, on camping trips with their families, and going away for the summer and spending time at the lake and in the mountains, and as opposed to the people who are really galvanized for their cause, which are the separatists. They're going to be very motivated, and these people already have their lists, because it's the same list that various right-wing organizing groups have. It just gets circulated around, and I think they have the edge there, right? Not just in terms of having a smaller hurdle to get over, but motivation and organization.
These people are going to be working overtime for the federal government to make sure that they paint the independence movement in a negative light, while promoting the Federalist petition as a patriotic one. I've even heard the word traitor being thrown around, and then they claim to be impartial. Give me a break. To be completely honest, Albertans who support independence need to brace for a dirty fight. The attacks have already begun, and they'll ramp up fast. Don't lose focus. Some people will never be convinced, but many are still curious, still open. That's who we need to reach. That's who we need to talk to. So stay sharp, stay steady, and speak the truth. All right, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Special thanks to those of you who have donated to this project. It is much appreciated, and it helps me continue making videos. See you on the next one. Peace.